At least not from the position of being.
5G Masters not on.
Are we ready? Yes, okay, lovely. Well, welcome everyone to RNA 1st of April. This is Becky's last, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
So it's really, but
Nice for you.
yeah, and welcome to Katrina as well. We'll hear a bit more from Katrina. Apologies. We have apologies from Stefan, Sarah and Kelly, and Ian is substituting for Kelly. Yeah. So any declarations of interest? No, I see none. Public participation? No, no one, no comments from the audience. Minutes, to approve the minutes of RNA on the 18th of February. Do I have a proposal? Thank you. Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Lambert. All those in favour? Thank you. And progress, to look at progress. Right, Riverbank repairs, that's all in hand.
Yes, it's progressing. We're just
progressing.
working on the final specification.
Yeah, Red Lion Lawn. Well, you're still looking after the mermaid, everything else has been done. Councillor Eggleton.
Is there actually any work started on the riverbanks, or is that still just waiting to put things in a row?
No, so we've appointed the contractor, and now we're just working with the contractor on the final specification and details.
So do we know when the work's going to start?
No, that's what we're working on now.
So next meeting we should probably know a little bit further on.
So with a bit more detail. So at the moment it relies on the flood risk activity permit. This at the moment, because the Environment Agency have changed their processes, so everything's been centralised. So instead of taking that 6 weeks, it's now taking about 6 to 9 months, it appears.
Yeah.
So we are looking at other options of basically how we might be able to do the work without necessitating a flood risk activity permit. So we're doing that work, as well as refining the specification, looking at the length of piles and various other things. So yes, there's a lot going on there, but yes, by the next meeting we should have more of an update.
Thank you very much. And the other thing was just about the mermaid. Is there any progress on that, and when that's likely? Because I've been asked by several people, when is it going back, or is it going somewhere else?
So it's not going back. It will be going.
It will be going back.
It will be going back. I think that it's going back to the office. So it's going to a foundry near Stroud. We've got a quote through. The insurers have accepted that quote. The parks team are kind of going to deliver it to the foundry, and then hopefully it should be done back here for June, July.
Thank you.
Will our insurance go up? Because this is the second time this has happened. Or
Probably, I don't think for this. I don't think that's. It's only a relatively small sum to actually get it repaired.
good.
September.
So that's Red Lion Lawn, which is looking lovely, and Baby Lost Memorial Tree. Sue Ryder are in favour, and we're just awaiting final confirmation. Is that the situation?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe the person who originally proposed it is still carrying out fundraising.
Right, and she's, yeah. Do we have to get in writing from the Sue Ryder lot, or their lawyers, or how does that work?
Yes, we would need either form. Yes, we would need formal permission from them as they use the land. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then we've got these items, climate and emergency items that we've got here. Any questions on those? And then we've got marketing plans for Adventure Golf Wedding and Columbarium. So any questions on those? Oh, how did the wedding? That was on Sunday, wasn't it?
Wedding for
Yeah, the wedding fair, yeah. So you're up to 35 now, I think you're hoping for 50, aren't you? readiness to be booked for the year. No. Okay, so if we move on to finances. Are there any questions on the finances? On the estates page and on the parks page? Any queries, any questions, or are you happy to accept that? Yeah, happy to
Propose
accept,
acceptance.
accept, yeah, all those in favour? Okay. So, now we move on to the integrated weed management report, and we have Katrina here, who is our new biodiversity officer. So this is the first meeting really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Big
yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
yes, so welcome. It's an extremely thorough and full report, Katrina, and, but I think it would be helpful if you gave us a little introduction.
Sure. So, we're living in one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. That's in the bottom quartile, all countries in the world. The RSPB says that we've lost 40 million birds from our skies since 1970, and we only have half of our natural biodiversity left. Declaring a climate and nature emergency requires us to take action to protect, promote, and enhance biodiversity. And you're probably aware of the public conversation around biodiversity and pesticides. One might say that glyphosate is the world's most popular and controversial weed killer. Its use has increasingly become an area of public concern. It's not a banned chemical, but the debate at European level has centred on human health rather than the health of our ecosystems. The UK are due to review their policies on glyphosate at the end of this year. In Henley, the parks team encountered some negative comments and social media coverage when out spraying each year, but this is also countered by others who thank the team and are really grateful that they're keeping the weeds in place, keeping places weed free. So, what's going on in Henley at the moment? There are many areas that are managed, a substantial proportion of the weeds controlled by manual weeding and weed suppression techniques, mulch and membranes. Glyphosate, however, is still used on weeds in some footpaths around Mill Meadows, the Makin's Pram Path, to clear an area before wildflowers are sown, on hard standing such as around the Astrone in the cemetery, and weeds on all streets are spot sprayed normally twice a year. So there are a range of alternative weed management strategies that have been trialled across the UK. Chemical solutions include bioherbicides, and then hot foam has also been used. Mechanical solutions include heat-based solutions and weed whippers. But what are other councils actually doing, and what is best practice? So, drawing on data from about 15 councils, it's notable that Cambridge and Brighton have trialled no glyphosate for 5 years, and in 2024 they both took a U-turn, citing the burgeoning cost of weed removal, trip hazards, damage to paving surfaces and scruffiness. And of the selection review, the only councils that still have a no glyphosate policy are the London boroughs of Lambeth and Westminster. So there is no obvious simple recommendation. On paper, the biodiversity-driven recommendation would be obviously no glyphosate, but this isn't per se financially and practically viable as a solution. So this paper recommends to move towards discontinuing use of glyphosate-based herbicides in the medium term. The current action is for an overall reduction in the quantity of glyphosate used. No glyphosate-based herbicides will be used going forward in parks and open spaces, except for dealing with hard-to-control invasive weeds like Japanese knotweed. And there'll be a reduced use of glyphosate-based herbicides on streets. So this will be accompanied by a trial of mechanical weed removal and supported by increased community engagement with a greater tolerance for weeds and an opportunity to opt in to volunteer weeding outside your own front door. So we will revise and review and revise this policy in spring 26. So it's a trial for this year, and it would necessitate spending 1,900 from SIL for the purchase of a mechanical weed ripping machine.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Katrina. Very, very full and very informative. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. As an excellent report, very detailed. I think that we've got a sensible way forward here, given that, as you know, there's no obvious solution, but it's a good first step, and it's financially quite sound. So I think I'd like to propose.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Middleton.
This mechanical machine, is it sort of like a road sweeping brush?
It's a
Pretty,
rotary sweeper.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah, like a lawnmower come road sweep. It's sort of like
yeah,
Well,
with
you
a
just
with a rotating.
goes right up tight to the walls and
Yeah.
gutters and things like that. those things, because you can do verges as well with those, talk about over grass and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I would say it's the best way forward with that type of machinery.
Good. Sarah?
Yes, just want to echo my thanks. What a really great report, and there are so many, informative aspects to this report. And I think I also sat here reading it thinking, gosh, I didn't know the impact of X, Y, and Z. What I'm really encouraged by is to see the element of community engagement, because I think the more that we demonstrate some of the things that we're doing as the Henley Town Council that addresses the climate and nature emergency that we have declared, the better. So I can see community engagement really being a pivotal part of this. And I'd love to be involved somehow. Just as an example, Greener Henley showed a green screen film called Common Grounds, and it was really focusing on the negative impact of Monsanto chemicals. And so it's a really great film. I definitely recommend it to highlight the issue of pesticides, and also bearing in mind that Henley is putting their application to be a bee-friendly town, because I can imagine things like this would really help our application as well. So I just want to say thank you very much. I think it's a great report. I think all the elements here about the health and safety, public engagement, raising awareness, what we can all be doing. And I know that residents is outside the scope of this, but I do hope that by Henley Town Council showing good practice, best practice for the environment, that will have an influence elsewhere as well.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Lambert?
Thank you. Echo everyone's comments about the quality of the report, and thank you, Katrina, for talking it through with me last week. Much appreciated. Very interesting to see what the other councils have done.
It is, isn't
I'd
it?
like to second those proposals.
Lovely, thank you. Any other comments? Councillor?
I think lots been said already that I completely agree with, and I support the proposal, which sounds excellent. I like the incremental approach, in that we can judge the effect that it has on the weeds, which other councils have had to do. And it's worth noting that Brighton, for example, although they have returned to using glyphosate, still don't use it in their parks and their green spaces. They're only doing it in a way that's rather similar to this approach, which is that some of the streets and the spot weeding is done in particularly difficult areas using glyphosate. And I think the declaration is that we wish to use little, preferably none, in the medium to long term. But we have to review carefully how this change of policy actually works in practice. So I think it's a sensible proposal. Yes, we review in a year's time.
Any other comments? No. I would just like to say from the chair that I think, and you've mentioned this, the message that we give out to the town, why we're doing it, and the support that we would look for exactly what you're to try and weed a little bit outside on your pavement outside. And not to use Roundup yourself. I saw someone the other day actually doing it around, I won't say wherever, quite close to me. So they do, but much easier to get a trowel and actually go like that and remove it that way. So I think probably talk to Daisy, our communication officer, and make sure that we get the message out there that you want, really. Yeah,
It's part of the strategic plan for community engagement with regard to the whole of the climate and nature emergency. This will be a big part of it.
Lovely. Okay, so we have a proposal. Anyone else want to say anything? No. Proposal and a seconder. So all those in favour of the recommendation, please show. Okay. Lovely. Well, thank you very much. Really great report. Right, strategic plan review. Well, we've got lots of good news here too. Not almost as good as yours. We've got 7 completed on target. And you can see it all here. I mean, this wonderful plan that we've got here. I think a bigger one of this. Anyone like to make comments? Councillor.
As per last time, it's fantastic progress. So thanks to the officers all once again. I'd also like to propose we accept the recommendation with a very small amendment, which I think more grammatical than anything else. In 310, it says, create, trial, implement an administrative weed management plan. Given that we're trialling it next year, we'll probably have to create and trial a plan, because we're probably not going to implement one until after the trial. So I'll just propose slight rewording there and then accept the 5.1.
Right, so your wording for the recommendation would be to
Create and trial and
create and trial.
And if you want, we could look with, you could always add with a view to implementing one in the longer term, if you so wish.
Right. Okay, is anyone happy to second that? Yes, Councillor Overton. Anyone else want to talk to our strategic plan? Any comments? Sorry.
Thank you. Yes. So, yeah, really encouraging to see the progress as well as to recognise some of the amended timeframes. I would like to pick up or just ask a couple of clarification questions on 3.7, which is the ecology management plan. I totally get that the request is to change it to a biodiversity action plan. That's much more proactive. That's brilliant. I think I just want to understand better the target date that is amended from March 2025 to April 2026, given that there are plans to appoint an organisation to do an ecology audit. So I just wondered if somebody could give an update as to the timeframe and just how does that fit in terms of commissioning the audit and then.
So the reason for that is that we've gone out and now commissioned someone to start. We will start, but they won't get their report to us until December actually. They do 2 site visits on 6 sites. They're going to provide us with an interim report in midsummer, and then we've got to sit down with them in about October to go through to actually design a management plan for each of the different sites, which will then feed into a biodiversity action plan, if you like, that we're going to write then in the spring. So the reason for it is that we've got to have all the information being fed in, and things like this weed killer strategy, which we can then review in March next year. Then we will have, I think, everything pulled together to actually have a plan that encompasses all the different elements. That was the thinking.
Yeah,
It's not that we're not actioning things now. It's just that to get it in place.
That would be so interesting to see. River Harp. Where is the River Harp?
Oh, it's down by the
Jubilee Park.
Jubilee Park.
Is that what it's called?
It's not exactly a river, but yes.
I've lived here all my life and I've never heard it called the River Harp.
Usually a dry ditch.
Yes.
It's actually very wet at the moment. There's a big puddle in the field. I passed it yesterday.
Right.
Well, a long, thick puddle.
Did you want to say?
Yes, sorry, if I could also just clarify on 3.8. So, yeah, I'm a little confused. It comes across that there is no deadline from submitting an application, but we're working to a deadline of June 2025. I don't really understand
We're all
what the
confused.
situation is. If somebody could, and how successful do you think we are going to be?
I think the difficulty is that we don't know what the new guidance is going to be coming out of DEFRA, and what the new eligibility criteria will be, if anything. So it would be difficult to put a new deadline on it because we don't have the details. So that's it's almost kind of that we're just holding it as it is, and we can amend it when we have some more clarity on it. But it would be a bit to amend it without it would be a bit of a guess at this
There's no
stage.
point amending it to another date that we don't actually have in
Yes.
writing. Right. My second clarification point is: do we know, with all the water testing that has continued to happen with Thames 21, do we know how good or bad that the testing has the result of? Has there been a picture?
I can probably answer that if you like. So we now have actually got an app that is free to use that gives the most up-to-date results. It has shown that the water quality at the moment is fairly good. However, there have been patches where it has been significantly worse, so 30 times more contaminated than it is at present. So to get a real picture, we need to start plotting these against both known sewage discharges that have been declared and also rainwater, or levels of rain, so we can get an idea when there have been illegal spills and also if it correlates to significant rainfall. But broadly, we're not too bad, and we'll begin more testing, I believe, in mid-May as we enter the designated bathing water season.
Councillor Overton.
I take it we're talking about sewage and stuff like that. But sewage is only a small percentage considering the runoffs from roads and farmlands and all that stuff, which also go into the river. But we always talk about sewage. I know that's not a good thing anyway, but there is the bigger percentage is the runoff from roads, the tar fragments, the oils, the greases and all that sort of stuff. Has anybody actually tested for that sort of stuff rather than just the sewage? Because that's the stuff which is more harmful.
So even by Thames Water's own admission, sewage is the single biggest contributor. And while absolutely we accept there are more contributors than just that, this is again why testing alongside rainwater when runoffs from the road will be highest. And you should be able to see a difference because you get rainwater and things that tends to come in a bit more gradually. As you've seen with fluctuations in river water levels, sewage tends to happen much more immediately. So whilst we're not explicitly about testing for that, as it's not the recommendation under the bathing water status, we're focusing on effects on human health, primarily through E. coli colony-forming units. They're absolutely all right that there is an issue with other runoff.
When you get runoffs and drainage that goes from the roadside to soakaways on the side, we're talking about climate emergency and looking after and not using pesticides and everything else. And when you get runoffs and drainage ditches, any of the wildlife or the wild plantation trees, shrubs and everything else die. That's runoff from the roads. So those are the things we should be addressing as well.
Yeah.
Because that's affecting the wildlife and the hedgerows and the birds and the insects and everything else.
Yeah, I think we will all very much take that point to heart. Yeah. Ian.
In fact, it's phosphates from agriculture that cause
Yes.
far more damage than runoff from roads.
No, it isn't.
Well, it is actually. The point about the bathing water designation title here, I'm wondering if that's too narrow in terms of a strategic target. In that, as the notes point out, applications aren't being assessed at the moment, and a large part of the activities of this council over the last year have been actually to draw attention and campaign against the pollution of the river and the state overall of it, in particular against with regards to the Thames Water and also the Environment Agency. So I'm wondering if a broader title should be either substituted here or added in, which is that river quality, or the quality of our rivers should be the name, should be how we identify this particular item.
Thank you. So our MP, Freddie Mango and myself have been working on it on the basis of recreational water status. So expanding from bathing water, so it's fit for all river users, which particularly in Henley is more relevant. We have possibly the largest, well, not just rowers, paddle boarders, we have event swimmers, you have canoeists, we have practically every single type of river user you can possibly have here. So, which we are very lucky to have, but therefore I think we should be calling it recreational water status in line with what Freddie has said to the House.
Recreational water status, right. Sarah.
Yeah, I do want to kind of echo what Councillor Eccleston said about, the rivers is also a really important wildlife ecosystem habitat. And it would be a shame, given that we've just talked about this amazing integrated food management system with the light of addressing climate and nature emergency, the water is more than just for recreational use, it is the wildlife habitat as well. So it would be really good to recognise that as well in some form.
Right, so how do you suggest we circle the wagons on this one?
I would suggest that until we have some clarity on DEFRA's bathing water designation process, that we hold off for the moment, and then when we actually do review, we can we can review it with all the information and make an informed decision at that time. Because in the meantime, it's not stopping all the great work that is already happening.
That's true.
Just one more thing. It's, you can Google it. They actually done a television program based on the fallout with pesticides that come off the land, off a farm's land, road stuff which comes off the thing. So it's all available on the, and they've done a documentary on specifically on road runoff, and that creates more problems to the habitat.
Yeah.
And that drains off into the river as well. And that's factual. That's actually, you can Google it and you get all the statistics. And the sewage is the bottom of the scale. The other stuff is much more.
Very good.
And the wildlife is things you do away with the bees, and that's it basically.
That's what, 4 years, haven't you? After the
Yeah.
bees go, something like that. Yeah. I mean, the mood from the meeting is very supportive of all of this. Yeah, which is great. So if you're happy with that, we'll move forward. Yes.
I was going to propose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to? Do I have a proposal?
Yes, I propose.
Yeah,
No,
I reckon.
propose.
So
Yeah.
I have a
You had a
proposal.
proposal, that's right, a
Second.
second. Yes, that's lovely. We have a proposal and a second.
I'll see.
Yeah,
You second.
okay. All those in favour, please show. Something. Anyone against? No. Good. So now, we've got the management and maintenance plan, and you're ready to take questions, aren't you? This is the management plan to be signed by Town Council, SODS and Oxfordshire Football Association. It's for your review. Anything more to say on it?
It was Kath who did all the work on it, so it's best placed to answer the questions.
Any questions for Kath? Councillor Hunt?
I was just actually propose that we accept it, but I would like to see Henley United included going forward. I've spoken to Kath just before the meeting about it.
Right, Councillor Lambert.
Just a minor technicality actually, but on page 37, 4.1, it says that there are 78 spaces, but on page 53, 5.1, it says there are 76 plus 4 disabled.
I'll sort out that discrepancy.
I don't think you spot such mistakes, but I didn't. I'm very proud.
Well done.
You've done your homework, that's really impressive. So, do we have a recommendation, or we just are noting and happy with?
Yeah, I suppose it becomes a council policy effectively. So it's if the committee's happy with it,
Right.
it's to go forward to SODC to fulfil a pre-use planning condition.
So is the council happy to accept this proposal here, management plan? Yes. Do we need a proposer and a seconder?
Yes,
Proposer, councillor Hunt. Seconder, councillor Lambert. All those in favour? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for all your work, Kath. It's been huge. Now we come on to the town green we mentioned earlier. This was suggested to us a little while ago, and Town Council put this report together, and it seems to make a lot of sense. I was involved in the first one we did at Gillett's, and it was suggested to us by the town clerk then that this is the best protection you can ever give to any public bit of land. And it's quite quick and quite straightforward, and it's worked at Gillett's, and it's worked in Freeman's, and this would be our third one. So over to you, Councillor Hunt.
This is an absolutely excellent idea. It has done wonderful stuff elsewhere, not just in Henley. I'd be very, very happy to propose. Also, again, like to say thank you to the officers for getting this turned around so quickly.
Yes, it was very quick. And Councillor Eggleton.
I mean, the recreation ground, apparently it's got a covenant on it.
Yes.
There wasn't allowed to be any buildings or structures put on that, on the recreation ground. This could have been done a long time ago, but we didn't think that anybody would want to build or put construction on it, which not only affects the natural beauty of that area and the views and everything else, also has an impact on the wildlife, the bats, and all the other stuff, and bees. Again, bees are the most important things, and there is a lot of wild stuff up there with bees. And bees, if you put a mobile phone anywhere near a bee, it gets agitated and it starts touching its wings. You put a 5G mast in there, then you won't see any bees up in that area at all. That's fact. And you can get that on Google as well.
Okay.
I did ask them if I could put a mobile phone inside a beehive, and they said no, because all the bees would leave the hive. So it's so that's just a mobile phone. So you put something a lot more powerful than that in that area, and you'll lose a lot of wildlife and insects. And there is quite a lot of stuff up there. It is a natural beauty up there. It was why the council never done it a long time ago, I don't know, but it was me and several others that put it forward to ask if it could be registered, if we could do it ourselves, or if we could get the council to do it, because it's the council land, and it would be better for the council to do it because they know the loops and everything else. And I think it's very important protecting our green spaces. And we put several things up there. You know, a fitness gym, skate park, a play area, picnic area, and a football squash thing. We've done loads of stuff up there. Why put something like that up and ruin that area altogether when we spent so much time doing what we're doing?
I think the point's taken there, and it's very clear in the report. Anyone else want to make any comments? No, we have a proposal. Did you? Yes,
I
you proposed.
proposed.
Did we have? We even second that.
Yeah, I second it.
So all those in favour, please show. Thank you. No one against. So there we go. Recommended that Makins is registered as a town green. I wonder how long that takes. Couple of months.
Couple of hours to fill in the form.
Couple of hours. Oh right, there you go.
It is actually a very quick process.
I remember it as a lot more.
If it's
if you can tick the boxes.
voluntary route, then it's very fast.
Yes, yeah.
So we know next week then.
Yeah, so you can have a celebration.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, yeah.
All councillors welcome to a party on Makins.
Take your rubbish off.
And,
That's quite an important point. How are we going to celebrate the fact that we may possibly have another town green?
Well, there you go.
It's a wonderful communication opportunity.
Well, it's another one for Daisy, isn't it?
Don't
Yeah.
message it.
We always have celebrations up on Makins for one thing or another.
Mm.
We've had bake-offs and all sorts of stuff on the green.
Yeah. Last item is Fairmile Cemetery Memorial Safety Policy, and I'm sure you've all read this, and are you all happy with it? Any questions? No? No questions? Oh, a question. Who's going first?
I was going to ask the town clerk what changes there were to the policy.
That is a very good point. I don't know if there are any major changes. I don't think so.
There's none.
No.
Right. Okay.
So it's just to remind us all,
I think you have to review it
every so often.
and we change the review date to every 2 years.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of.
Yes, so I think the memorial, what is the connection between memorial and the gravestones? Are they the same thing?
Basically, yes.
Okay. So I just want to point out that from a biodiversity perspective, the lichen on the gravestones are actually really important.
Mhm.
So, as long as they aren't being kind of scrubbed clean, then that's a really
No, it's more
important
just
thing.
a safety
Safety
test
test,
for toppling.
Okay.
So it's, if a memorial is loose, for instance,
Yeah.
under a certain amount of pressure, then we have to safely lay it down in
Yes.
place and left.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if it included cleaning, in which I would say you shouldn't be cleaning them.
So Councillor Ogleton.
So if the gravestone's loose and it's laid down, who's the responsibility of putting it back up?
The
So the person who owns the exclusive right to burial, which we currently sell for 50 years, but if that has expired, then it reverts to the council.
So after 50 years, the council then,
No, they may transfer it to another member of the family.
right. So the family members get told about the stones being laid down?
They do, but problem is sometimes it's been left so long that there are no, either
Oh,
the
right.
contact details aren't correct or there are no members of the family.
So in that case, they would just stay laid flat on the ground?
Yeah.
Well, there'll be another report to committee because there may be a recommendation for the council to pay for some to be repaired. But it's up to the council to decide at that time because they will be costly.
Because I think it's, I mean, there was a graveyard in London that someone, went to rack and ruin, not like ours, I mean, it's looked after. But they went in and all the headstones were all missed, and so they got funding for it, and then they got all the gravestones all cleaned up and all redone. And it's like as good as the day it was set up originally.
I think there was a campaign, wasn't it, Charles Clements, who did a lot of building in the town. I think Ken was quite involved in that, to get that restored as a thank you to all that he's put into the town, really. I think that was a little one of these, isn't it?
Because if you look at
There might be
And Frank,
important.
St Mary's Churchyard, it's quite, I mean, that's, there's a nice walk through there, but it's very, got wire mesh round the graves and all that sort of stuff. I'd like to see that.
It's SODC, isn't
Is it?
That's what you see.
it?
Not
ours,
the
no.
church.
The church owns the land, but when it became a closed churchyard, then they could transfer it basically to the town council or the district council to manage.
Oh, right.
The town council rejected it, so I went to
Yeah, to
SODC.
SODC.
We had a discussion with this last week, didn't we?
We did, yeah, we
So
did.
is there any way that if there was a group of people, who would they contact to go and
Father Jeremy will have the details, but it's SODC. SODC manage the land, and then, which said that we've understood that Oxfordshire County Council manage the pathway, which is why it's a bit of a mishmash. The church do bits of it.
Always three authorities, isn't
well, that's never gonna, yeah.
Exactly.
it? Yeah. Any more comments or Cass?
There's a little bit of confusion. This is purely a safety policy. So policy on the attractiveness and the cleanliness and so on
It's
of
for
the
further discussion.
the pleasantness of the environment is for a future report, I think. Is the,
Not to be done by me.
okay, so, to be done by someone, and so that'd be a separate matter for the
Yes.
to consider.
Yes. And that's the last item on the agenda.
Have we done that?
So, thank you so much.
Yeah, do we have a
And-
motion? Is there a vote?
Oh, you want
I
to
to approve.
please,
Right,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So I've done the proposal.
Proposer, do we have a seconder? Councillor Hunt? All those in favour? Lovely, thank you very much. Thank you, and really sad to see you go, Becky. Oh, dear, you've been absolutely brilliant, and I've loved working with you.